Welcome to Shift. I'm Elliot, your host, and I am so glad you're spending a bit of your day with me. If you're new here, Shift is the podcast where we take those handy keyboard shortcuts we use every day, the ones that save us seconds at our desks, and we turn them into metaphors to save our sanity and help us grow. I'm a former tech writer, a current consultant, and a full-time dad to two very energetic girls, Clara and Lucy. And if there is one thing I've learned between writing software manuals and trying to convince a 3-year-old that broccoli is actually dinosaur trees, it's that we spend way too much time in our heads and not enough time in the real world. Let me ask you something. How many brilliant ideas do you have sitting in your mental drafts folder right now? Maybe it's a business idea. Maybe it's a difficult conversation you need to have with your partner. Or maybe it's just that shelf you've been meaning to put up in the hallway for 6 months. We think about it, we plan it, we research the best tools for it, we imagine how great it'll look, and then we do nothing. We stay stuck in the digital, theoretical world of someday. Well, today, we're changing that. Today's shortcut is Ctrl P. We are talking about the leap from idea to execution, beating procrastination by finally hitting print on your life. So let's look at the literal tech for a second. On your computer, Ctrl P is the universal command for print. Think about what happens when you hit those keys. You are taking something that exists only as pixels, a digital ghost essentially, and you are demanding that it become a physical, tangible object. You are moving it from the virtual space to the actual space. When you hit Ctrl P, the screen doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the ink, the paper, and the fact that you can now hold that idea in your hand. It's the moment of no return. Once the printer starts whirring, that document is becoming real. In the world of personal growth, Ctrl P is our shortcut for execution. We all have a digital life, the version of us that lives in our heads. In that world, we work out every day, we're never late with our emails, and we finally write that novel. But the physical life is where the growth actually happens. Procrastination is basically leaving your ideas in the print queue indefinitely. You've sent the command, but the printer is jammed or out of paper. Or, let's be honest, you're just hovering your finger over the button because you're afraid of how it'll look once it's on paper. Today is about clearing the queue and making things happen. Let's go deep on why we don't hit print. The first big hurdle is the perfectionism glitch. Last week, my 5-year-old Clara wanted to draw a cat. She had this vision in her head of a perfect, majestic feline. She sat there for 10 minutes, staring at a blank piece of paper. I asked her, "Hey, sweetie, why aren't you drawing?" And she looked at me with total sincerity and said, "Dad, I don't want to ruin the paper." How many of us are doing that with our lives? We don't want to ruin the paper. We're so afraid that the physical reality of our work won't match the perfect digital image in our minds that we just don't start. In tech terms, we're waiting for the high-res photo glossy finish before we've even done a test print. We forget that the first version of anything is usually a bit blurry. The shortcut here is realizing that a messy printed page is infinitely more useful than a perfect digital one. You can't edit a page that hasn't been printed yet. You can't fix a business that doesn't exist. You can't improve a workout you didn't do. Ctrl P isn't about being perfect. It's about being present in the physical world. This brings me to my second point, living in draft mode. Back in my freelance writing days, when ink was expensive, printers had a draft mode setting. It used less ink, the lines were a bit faded, and it was fast. It wasn't the final version, but it let you see if the layout worked. We need a draft mode for our goals. Procrastination often happens because we think the execution phase has to be the final phase. I remember when I first started thinking about this podcast, I spent weeks looking at microphones, soundproofing foam, and editing software. I was researching. In reality, I was procrastinating.
I was keeping the idea digital because digital is safe. Finally, I told myself, Elliot, just hit Ctrl P, do a draft mode episode. I recorded a 5-minute clip on my phone while sitting in my car, the only quiet place in a house with 2 kids. It sounded terrible. The print quality was low. But you know what? It was real. It existed outside of my head. Once I had that draft, I had something to build on. Don't wait for the fancy ink. Just get the ink on the page. What is the draft mode version of your goal today? The third thing we have to talk about is the paper jam, otherwise known as choice paralysis. Sometimes we don't hit Ctrl P because we have too many documents open. We want to start a side hustle and lose 10 pounds and learn Spanish and organize the garage. When you try to print 50 documents at once, the system freezes. In our house, the morning routine used to be a massive paper jam. Trying to get Lucy and Clara dressed, fed, and out the door felt like trying to print a 500-page manual from a home printer from 1995. I was procrastinating on the hard parts, like the inevitable tantrum over which socks to wear, by over-focusing on the easy parts, like making a 3rd cup of coffee. The shortcut to clearing a paper jam? Print 1 page at a time. I stopped trying to manage the whole morning. I just focused on one execution task. Get Clara into her shoes. That's it. 1 hit of Ctrl P. Once those shoes were on, the next page was ready to print. Execution is a sequence. Procrastination happens when we look at the whole book. Success happens when we just print the next page. All right, let's get practical. How do we move from digital idea to physical reality right now? Here are 3 simple steps. 1. Set the print quality to low. Whatever you've been putting off, give yourself permission to do it poorly. If it's a workout, do 5 minutes of bad push-ups in your pajamas. If it's a project, write a crappy first paragraph. Lower the stakes so the printer doesn't jam. 2. Use the 2-minute print rule. If the execution of an idea takes less than 2 minutes, like sending that scary email or booking that doctor's appointment, hit Ctrl P immediately. Don't let it sit in the queue. The longer an idea sits in the queue, the more system memory it eats up, making you feel tired and stressed. 3. Clear the queue. Look at your mental to-do list. Anything that you know, deep down, you're not actually going to do? Delete it. Cancel the print job. Be honest with yourself. Clearing the maybe tasks gives you more power to execute the must-do tasks. All right, here is your challenge for the week, your press the key moment. I want you to identify one thing you've been overthinking. Just one. Something you've got all the digital files for but haven't actually started. This week, you're going to hit Ctrl P, but here's the catch. You only have to do the first 5 minutes of it. If it's a book you want to write, write for 5 minutes. If it's a closet you want to clean, clean 1 shelf for 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5 minutes of physical execution. Prove to yourself that the idea can exist in the real world. I bet once you see that first page come out of the printer, you'll want to keep going. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today on Shift. It really means a lot that you've invited me into your headphones. If this episode helped you feel a little less stuck, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, or share it with that one friend who is always talking about their big idea but never seems to start. Let's help them hit Ctrl P together. Next time, we're going to be talking about a shortcut that's a little more high stakes. We're diving into Control, Shift, Escape. We're talking about the task manager for your life, how to detect and stop work burnout before your whole system crashes. You won't want to miss that one. Until then, keep it light, keep it real, and remember, sometimes all you need is a little shift.